All right. Good morning. Good morning. GM, everyone. Welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Friday, November 22nd. It is another cold, cloudy day here in Chicago today, folks. We are in the 40s. It's gloomy outside. But we aren't feeling gloomy. We're feeling great. Yesterday was one of the most bullish days of crypto headlines I can ever remember, perhaps in crypto's history. The good news just kept pouring in. We had all-time highs all over the place. We're going to talk about those. And we've got a special guest from OSF. And we're going to talk about the Rekt coin debut from this morning. Very excited for that. No Fro today. He is still out in Vegas. But I've got my co-hosts, Mando and Logan, in the house. Mando, GM, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. Although the market is looking relatively red across the board.
We will fight through it. Logie, GM, how are you doing?
Hey, good morning, Tyler. I'm doing well. Some snow falling here in central PA. Seems to be falling on the market a little bit, as Mando indicated, but feeling okay.
How red are we talking about? So I see like 97,008 on Bitcoin. It's all right.
I don't know. I just opened up my trading view, and it's just every single coin is red. So it seems a little bit red. I don't know.
Well, that's not great. Well, we'll get into it on today's show. It looks like we've got Ovi in the spaces, not on the stream, but that's okay. We'll take him. Ovi, GM, how you feeling? It is a big morning.
GM, yeah, pretty good. Thanks. Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. Well, I want to get right into it with the late start here, folks. Real quick, topics for today. We're going to talk Bitcoin reaching 99K and a new all-time high. More Solana ETFs. Schwab entering crypto. Gary Gensler is gone. Sui signing a partnership with Franklin Templeton. Some new meme coins leading the action. We might talk about the AI meme sector legging up as well. Magic Eden Rune swaps. This XCopy NFT. And we're going to start with this Rekt coin launch. Big day. Before we dive in, though, quick shout out to our partner, Galaxis. With seamless built-in monetization tools, Galaxis enables the development of sustainable long-term communities, fulfilling Bitcoin's vision of decentralized freedom and independence from centralized control. All right. Well, Sims, do we have Ovi's music ready? Can we give him a proper intro, or should we just dive into the conversation?
I sadly don't.
Maybe Farouk had that.
I could do Mando's.
Yeah, let's do Mando's to give us the break.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
We'll come back to Mando in a minute, but Ovi, I want to tee you up. Big morning. We've got the Rekt coin launch. It is officially live, folks. It went live 5 a.m. Eastern this morning. And we are grinding up here. You love to see it. How are you feeling? Are you guys just in chaos mode over there? What's control center sentiment this morning?
Yeah, I mean, launch days for anything are always chaos mode, but we're lucky we had a really strong market to see this launch day. And I think, I know the market's pulled back a little bit, but I woke up this morning, I was like, wow, Bitcoin was going to hit 100K, like soul touch all-time highs. So it's a really good environment to launch stuff in. And I think it's in a good spot right now.
I started to see some of the math start coming out, but it seems like anyone who got in on the Rekt Rewards program and perhaps bought some of those Rekt drinks, it seems like they're up nicely. Logie, have you been tracking that? Do we have the numbers? I see you're drinking the Rekt drink.
I don't. Perhaps Ovi has more than I do. I was just kind of ballparking based on the I bought 4 or 5 cases that I'm making my way through very, very quickly. So I'm going to need a reorder at some point here. I'll turn to Ovi if he has those numbers. But yes, drinking today to celebrate alongside.
Yeah, I think someone put out a tweet earlier, which was for every 1 unit of Rekt drinks you purchase, you made about $300 at the current valuation of Rekt coin, which I think has gone up since he tweeted that. So maybe it's more like $350 or $400. But it seems like if people who bought drinks, or obviously if you did the farming stuff, you got the airdrop. But if you actually purchased drinks as well, you made like 3 or 4 times your money. I think even more than that, 4 or 5 times your money on buying it.
love to see that. Just that was honestly, in hindsight, it was a layup win. So shout out to everyone who got in on that and for you to help execute it. I want to talk maybe a little bit about the tokenomics. I'm curious. So are you aligned with Bonk Guy in this unit bias discussion? Because we saw that 420 trillion tokens in the total supply. What went into that decision versus, some of your more standard Solana, like 1 billion?
Yeah, look, I'm a big believer in unit bias actually, and I think stuff like Pepe and MOG have done really well, and those coins are trading at like prices of like 0.0000005 or 6 or whatever. It was the same with Doge, it was the same with SHIB. So yeah, our advice to the Token Foundation was definitely to have put unit bias as a priority and have a large supply of tokens. And I also think people feel better as well when you own them. Like, loads of people out there will claim tokens, they might own like 1 billion tokens, or like, some people probably own 1 trillion tokens, and like that just feels, I think, a lot nicer to hold than it does to only own like 10 tokens or 100 tokens, or I think it makes a difference in people's minds. So yeah, we saw Bonk do really well on that. We've seen some of the other coins start to rally, the old ETH coins on unit bias as well. And I personally think it's an important thing for retail, because that's just how people think.
Because what if it goes to $1?
Exactly.
That is the question on everyone's mind. And I've already seen it. People are talking about trying to become Rekt trillionaires. It's fun. It's just something that you can't do with some of the other unit bias coins. So I like that move. My ears or my eyes definitely perked up when I saw the tokenomics stream out. So I'm curious. I think folks probably want to know, who are listening, like what's coming next. Are you all kind of just like taking a breath here today? What should the community kind of look out for perhaps in the near future?
Yeah, look, there's no, unfortunately, there's no time to take a breath, and we're working on lots like Rekt brands, Rekt drinks, etc. This token is now out there, and it's going to have a big art focus to it as well. And I think, stuff like Bohm and Fog have obviously done well. I think for me as an artist, it's quite nice to actually put out art there that gets a lot of viewership. And I felt like when I was creating pieces before, because of how dead NFTs were, you wouldn't really get that much attention or viewership. Whereas now, creating art for the meme coin meta is actually a really special feeling for me, because I just get those eyes on my work, which is really nice. But I think people just sort of like really buy into it and feel more of a part of it as well. And like, as you guys know, like I love trading, I love meme coins, I love memes, I love art, I love culture, and this feels like everything in one. So it's a really cool position to be in, and we definitely want to drive the culture aspect of this as well, I think.
I mean, the timing is perfect for like this combination of meme plus art. Like, as you mentioned, we've been kind of dancing around this idea. Would it make sense? We hadn't really seen it take off, and now it feels like it is much more cemented in this current ecosystem. So I think you've got a lot to work with there. Certainly exciting times. So we'll continue to happily follow along. Anything else that, on top of your mind here this morning, or any shout outs to the community?
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to the Rekt Guy community. Like, they've made everything that we've done possible. And I hope people who've supported us, and whether you've been there from the beginning or joined recently or purchased drinks or whatever it is, I hope people feel like today's a good day for them to get rewarded. And, hopefully this is going to be the start of something big, I think.
The start of something big indeed. Well, I appreciate you joining us here this morning. Feel free to stay with us here, Ovi. I know you've got quite a busy morning, so I want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate the time. I'm gonna bounce and get drawing, but yeah, appreciate it as always.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the successful launch this morning.
Thank you.
All right, Amanda. We kind of skipped past you. We'll dial it back now. Want to just kind of jump into market overview?
Sure. We'll go straight back into it. We need to do another theme song. So yeah, Bitcoin did nearly touch 100K yesterday. Got tantalizingly close, 99.5. And then kind of dipped. Bitcoin dominance has actually gone down over that period, because I think ETH slightly outperformed in that dip. We had the major meme coins all take a pretty significant dip as well, kind of across the board, I would say. But it was, but that's just kind of how they've been over the last week. Most are down about 10 to 30%. Bonk, I guess, is the main one on Solana now. Is still holding up around 5 billion, which I think is very, very strong. MOG was actually the strongest on ETH. It looks like it's crossed back above 1 billion, which is good to see. So those two are probably the leaders at the moment in terms of outperformance on ETH and Sol. We did have, I think, as you noted, a bunch of different people are now applying for ETFs of different coins. So we had an XRP ETF filed, Solana ETFs being filed, and that was also because Gary Gensler is leaving Jan 20th. He is leaving his role, which is completely expected at this stage. We had XRP actually hit a 3-year high on the back of that, and Sol actually nearly broke its all-time high. I think it did break it on Coinbase briefly and then drop back down. There was some bullish news with just adoption. It looks like Charles Schwab, which is one of the biggest brokers in the US, is going to be offering crypto directly to clients, which I thought was bullish. And then we got news that FTX is going to start repaying creditors in 2025, March 2025. So, decent news there.
I think you covered a lot. It felt like a week or a month worth of headlines kind of came in yesterday. And it's a bit repetitive because it feels like we've been covering this stuff, but it also feels like a day to kind of maybe step back and see what's happening. And I think the Schwab headline specifically for me is one that hit home. And it was partially because of the quote from their incoming CEO, Worcester. We've got a nice article up on Decrypt covering this. I'm going to pull up the direct quote. So, crypto has certainly caught many's attention and they made a lot of money doing it. I have not bought crypto and now I feel silly. And I feel like this is just such a reflection of broader sentiment for folks who have been on the sidelines up until now. And like, this is the point where it's really kicking in. And it's like, shit, we faded this for a decade. Maybe now it's time to come in.
Something at 100K doesn't normally die. Let's put it that way. When it's at 15K, people are going to be like, oh, it's be a bit more fringe. But yeah, when you see Bitcoin at 100K and it's just overtaken like silver to be the most valuable asset in the world, you kind of know it's not going away now. And so I think we're going to see more and more of these sort of headlines. Like a lot of this was the big play, right? Institutions can now FOMO into crypto pretty regularly. We're going to have new headlines every single day about that. So yeah, I think we're going to have I think it's going to be a very, very bullish period if you're just looking at the headlines. There was interestingly some negativity in news yesterday, which is around MicroStrategy. I don't know if you saw this, but
yes.
Very, very popular research firm Citron, who's been kind of short various things in crypto over the years, was short ETH at like $900. I remember, when FTX was collapsing, they went short MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is actually trading around 3x book at the moment, which is high. And it's been difficult because you don't really know how that even unravels as Bitcoin goes higher. So, and there's been a lot of shorts in it. So there's been this like short squeeze, and then Saylor's been talking about doing productive stuff with the Bitcoin, like starting a Bitcoin bank and all this sort of stuff. So it's been trading quite a lot higher than just the Bitcoin. And they've kind of come in and said, look, it's too high at 3x Bitcoin, their Bitcoin holdings, and MicroStrategy dropped 16% yesterday, even with Bitcoin going higher. So at the same time, he was able to like do a bond deal on the same day, which I thought was pretty funny, and it's back up 5% today. A lot of people have been short MicroStrategy versus long Bitcoin. That's been like a widowmaker of a trade. So let's see how that one develops. Maybe
can you maybe help explain this one to folks who might not understand? So how could MicroStrategy get to the point where it's trading at 3x the Bitcoin it's holding? I think for most, they would have understood it as pretty much MicroStrategy has been moving up in line with the Bitcoin it holds. So it's a levered bet. I guess how does it get to 3x levered? Is there logic behind that, or just is
There
it?
is the logic actually isn't in that. So it is that they're levered, but it should still trade at its book value or there or thereabouts. The reason is because one, it was seen as one of the easiest ways for people to buy Bitcoin, which I think that story is diminishing given the ETFs. The second thing was that there was always a huge short base in it, who did this like basis trade. So it always traded like squeezing the shorts essentially. And then the third thing was what I said, there was so even some of the big commodities brokers like Glencore or Trafigura, they'll trade at a higher multiple than just the commodities they own. And that's because they trade them, but it's also because they do productive stuff with them. And he's been talking a lot about the concept of doing something with the Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like using that capital to do things, whether it's get yield, whether it's via like he hasn't said staking, but he's talked about being like a bank, which would imply that, it trades more like a bank. And that's just had this like equity value to it, albeit like it really got out of hand more recently. Like the MicroStrategy really departed from where it had been versus Bitcoin over the last 6 months. And I do think that there's, it could be an interesting trade to short, if I'm honest. But I don't, just because would I rather buy Bitcoin or MicroStrategy here? At 3x its holdings, it does feel like maybe just a spot Bitcoin ETF satiates the ease of people buying one at least. But some people are like, complete MicroStrategy bulls forever. And that's part of the reason why it goes up. It's like a bit of a meme stock as well, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would never put on this trade myself. Like I would never try and short something like that, particularly publicly in Bitcoin, right? Which is largely helped because Bitcoin can just keep going. And that can really squeeze you from the short side. So, but Citron do this sort of stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm not going short anything in a bull market. That feels silly. I would personally rather buy spot Bitcoin than buy it at 3x MicroStrategy.
I was gonna ask, like, do normal people even know about this, like, as a way to gain exposure to Bitcoin? Of course, institutions do, but like. Nobody I know would be buying this to gain exposure to Bitcoin. I don't think.
MicroStrategy or the ETFs?
MicroStrategy.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It's now one of the biggest firms in the US stock market, right? It's like $85 billion. Like it does still have that.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, you mentioned Saylor wanting to do more stuff. I've noticed in the Decrypt articles, and one I wrote earlier this week, MicroStrategy essentially started calling itself a Bitcoin development company,
right?
Which is drastically different from a previous life. I worked in business intelligence. They were a competitor of ours. They're in like a data analytics software company. That's what MicroStrategy was and is to a certain degree. So it's crazy to see the turnaround, but yeah, crazy.
I think people kind of realize, like, if you've done any research into Bitcoin at all, I think you probably have an understanding of MicroStrategy at a high level. You've also got the ETF products that are trading levered MicroStrategy. So there are ways to make this as a levered bet on Bitcoin. So it's going to be interesting. We will continue to track that, I'm sure. I want to get into the meme market a bit because I think there was a lot of action yesterday. I think arguably the biggest story was this Casey coin that came out last night. I don't know if folks have seen this one. It's done $200 million in volume. It's leading the Solana meme market from a pure volume perspective. It ran from 0 to 69 million in about 12 hours. I think it hit close to 80 last night. I think the brief story here, there's an artist with a meme. He got tied into the coin early. Is a bit of an opposite of how the chill guy situation played out. Logie, I'm curious, did you have a chance to dive into this one at all? Can you kind of catch us up on what happened?
Yeah, just a little bit. As you indicated here, famous or viral TikTok meme and artist attached to that embraced, literally the complete opposite of what you saw with Philip Banks and Chill Guy. And it went wild as people look to lean into kind of the art/meme coin thing we were just talking about with Ovi. I mean, that's been a huge part of this cycle thus far. There was, you sent this around early, Tyler, last night as a just watch this, what's happening here. Tough to ignore, of course, all the volume. But there was some scare, and I saw from other people on the timeline as well about the insider holdings or bundles attached to that, and it seems to have dissipated throughout the course of the night as more and more people kept buying, and it just kept going up. And that's kind of where we're at today.
Yeah, I'll tell my story. So I got in on this one around 12 to 15 last night. It was just a rocket ship, and it had reached that level in like 15 minutes. Huge volume. And then a buddy showed me that it was like 78% bundled. And there was also questions of how the artist kind of came around to this coin, because it had been vamped pretty hard. Like there were several KC coins floating around. So there was some FUD. At that point in time is when it dipped from like 20 down to 7. I got FUD'd out of the spot, much to my chagrin. And then it ran 10x from there. So egg on my face. Mando, did you see this one? Did you play it at all? Any thoughts on this versus Chill Guy here?
I did not play this one. I don't know if this feels like the same as Chill Guy. Like I don't think I've seen something ever go to 120k holders in 5 days. It feels like the one after Chill Guy that everyone tries to do, the Chill Guy, rather than necessarily the same. But I think we'll see this is just going to be a tried and tested method. There'll be a new TikTok meme next week. Yeah, there'll be one every week this bull market.
This is the new meta for sure. I can paint the bull case and perhaps the bear case on this one now as a neutral observer. I think the bull case is it's a good artist. People generally like the art. It's friendly. He's plugged into the coin, which is the opposite of the situation with Chill Guy, which is the main risk there, and it's clearly got the attention. So there's some whales touting it as well on the timeline. So you've got kind of a lot of the different factors there checked off. I think the bear case for me is it feels a little more forced, and I don't know if the meme is quite as good. And like my social engagement as one factor, like when I post about Casey, I got like 1/10 the engagement when I posted about Chill Guy. And I'm not.
Does anybody know what? Do people know what Casey is? Like, because Chill Guy speaks for itself, right? Chill Guy. Like the ticker's Chill Guy, the coin name's Chill Guy. I would have never known what this was. I've seen this little person before. Is that whatever? But I would not have known that this was related to that coin if I just saw it. The ticker.
Yeah, I don't think people are racing a moonshot to buy Casey because I don't think they're going to know what it is necessarily. But I mean, if people start spreading on TikTok, perhaps that changes. I will say, wearing my TA hat, it looks a little bit like a cup and handle for me on the 15-minute. So perhaps watch out for that.
It'll go higher, like there's no doubt. Yeah. I don't see how this doesn't it'll go to 100, and then but I just don't know if it does like what the same sort of moves that Chill Guy did.
Speaking of, it's been a little bit of a chop day. Tough for the Moon Boys out there who thought Chill Guy was just going to go straight to 1 billion. Is any of your perspective on Chill Guy changed at all? I mean, the holder count's still going up, 120k as you mentioned.
I think it has the issue with coins that get this many holders at a low market cap is that it does take a lot for them to like fully moon, but so many different people like like the Murad coins can go up really quickly if everyone holds their supply. And then ideally at the high level, that's when you start getting loads of holders, right? Like Peanut got all of its holders at quite a high level, actually. Whereas this one got them at a lower level. So this one I think could take a little bit longer, but I do think it will end up getting, I think it's about to get Bybit, it feels like. OKX was tweeting about it yesterday. I think it will get all the major exchanges now.
So that's probably what to look for. I've seen this a handful now of the posts of the guys who run up 20K to $1 million. So you got to churn through all of those, and they're selling, and I would be selling in that spot too. So I think that's why we're seeing some wicks up. We had a major move yesterday. It went to 550, but then retraced that.
Well, I think Bybit indicated that it might list it, but then I don't know.
Yeah.
If it
So I'm sorry to cut you off. So Bybit is doing the same thing with Chill Guy that it did with Lucy, which is it's using this buy votes campaign in which people that hold can deposit and then vote for a spot listing. Actually, just pulled it up off the side. I'll send you the link as well, Tyler. 76% listing odds thus far for Chill Guy, and it looks like Lucy already breached that threshold. I'm sending you the link now.
Interesting.
If you want to pull it up, it's there might be some like weird details about how exactly or who gains access to the listing, or I'm not exactly sure, but it's like it's like a social campaign more or less to get it listing. I'm not sure if that's just a workaround legally or whatever to get it on there, but that's what it's going through right now.
Yeah,
I think it just helps. I think it'll get a Bybit listing just given that. And then OKX tweeted about it. I think the main thing is like, does this artist thing maybe get in the way or not? But with 120K holders, the other thing about that is also very difficult for it to die.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that don't just go down in a V shape with that many holders. There's always somebody who comes in and wants to bid it. So I think probably you sell big rips and you buy dips in it. That's what I would reckon at this sort of level until you start to see unless you're like certain there's a listing coming.
And that seems to be what folks are doing. Quickly, I think another story, I don't really want to get into it, but the meta from last night, it seems like we're getting new metas every day. It's just people streaming and trying to pump their coins live on stream. You see the stream until 100 million guy did 150 million volume, sitting at 12 million. So it had some success there. There were a few other derivatives of that. I think the bigger action was in the AI sector. I want to spend a little bit of time on that. So we talked about it yesterday. Again, like we talked about this being its own kind of component of a broader meme coin market, just a broader market overall. Some of the coins have retraced now. I can see Zero Bro at 480, but Zero Bro hit 550 yesterday. Yeah. I guess it wicked close to 600.
I think
and now
I have a bag of Zero Bro. It was like 620 at one stage. I remember last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think what's happening here is I think a few things are happening. One, I think there's a punks versus apes narrative playing out with GOAT versus Zero Bro. I'm actually seeing some of the same players from that conversation back in 2021 start to put that out there. So I think that's a little bit of friendly competitions, the storyline to watch, and it kind of makes sense to me in how the ecosystems are being built out. So I think GOAT, True Terminal is kind of standalone right now. I think Mando, your point is it's like a piece of art. It's the code. That's what it is. And I tend to agree. I think that narrative makes sense. Whereas Zero Bro is expanding its ecosystem quite rapidly. So it did the Zero Born NFTs. Now it's got this music coin OPAIUM, which just launched yesterday. It's already trading at 29 million. Yesterday we also had Zero Bro tweeting out tickers, one of which was this Mercal token. I'm going to try to find that here as well. I'll scroll down. I think it's around 5 million or so, now down to 4 million. My point being is it seems like it's building out this broader ecosystem, which could be good, could be bad. I think it's too soon to have a read, but it does feel like it perhaps is like diluting it. I don't know. Curious for your takes.
I think there's been a few of these right now. Like one thing that I think they all get called right is sentient memes or sentient or AI agents, right? I think one of the main differences here is that, and this is kind of what I was saying yesterday, where it's all a little bit of a LARP, is lots of these AI agents don't actually need a coin. So if you look at the genesis of GOAT, it was because GOAT got trained on the history of memes, right? And then decided before even GOAT came out that the Goatsy was it's the funniest meme. Then was like, we should create GOAT wasn't created for many months, and then it was created and adopted it, right? So it became, there's like a meme aspect to it, whereas a lot of these other ones, like they and this is, I think, why the AI sometimes clashes with the human with the other ones. It's like they're actually like AI researchers, and the meme is just well, it's not even a meme, it's just a coin attached to the bot that they are creating, if you see what I mean. And we had that with Luna, like Luna's not a meme, right? It's just the name of the bot, and Zero Bro is kind of similar, and there's one called Bully, which is out at the moment. And I think all that space can actually go a lot higher, but I do think they are quite different. And like you said, like they're all about the utility. They're all about, like, if you actually read a lot of the developers behind that coin, AI16Z was obviously doing a lot of this too. Like they're all like, we're going to create AGI on the blockchain. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Goat isn't like that.
Right.
Like it's more like, hey, we've created this funny goat meme, and the AI agent thinks it's hilarious, and like and he's like in love with it, and all the content kind of is like more around that. So I feel like it's actually two separate things. That's what I also think. It's like Fartcoin, for example, is more like the first one. It's more like a meme. Again, one of the Truth Terminal liked, and it kind of went down that route. And there's a few more which are more like that, and there's a few more which are like, hey, this is like the best AI agent I've ever seen. And I feel as though all of them have like issues, right? But I do think that the ones which are focused on utility, you have to first you have to be like, does this really need a coin? Like, does Zero Bro need a coin? Like, what do you do with the coin? And that's the same for like half of them at the moment. Like they're still trying to work out, like, why would you own this coin? And then the second thing has it got a moat? Like, will someone come in and do something new? And I think the ones that are really outperforming are the ones who are shipping the fastest and doing new stuff. So I think, like I said yesterday, I think Zero Bro can go easily above $1 billion. It's like winning on the mindshare map even right now.
I saw that.
But I also, the ones I think I like, irrespective of that, are also the more like meme one.
Yeah,
is Goat and Fartcoin, because it's less like that erosion of moat by just another AGI coming next week. Like I saw there's one which has gone, I think it's called Bully, right? Like, so I was looking into this morning, which has gone to 120, right?
All in the past 2 days.
Right. Do you know what I mean? And so I think what we're seeing here is actually just a dilution of the space, but then I think it will become clear, like, the different segments even within the AI agent sphere. I think that will also become clear.
I think I agree with your analysis, and I feel like there's the AI agent coins, the utility coins are in a bubble. I think the bubble is going to get much bigger. But I feel like there's also more risk, as you mentioned, in these AI agent coins, because it's more tied to performance than it is tied to some of the more pure memes. So there's going to be multiple ways to play this sector. I'll continue my thoughts in a second. Real quick, folks, the code today is Rollbit. We do have 2 spins coming up here in 10 or 15 minutes. Again, that raffle code is Rollbit. I think Farouk actually from Vegas tweeted out the big 3 right now in AI is Goat, Fartcoin, and Zero Bro. I think that's pretty objectively true right now. I think there's a big question of what's next. Like, what's 4 through 10? I think Bullish, of course, jumped out yesterday. You've got Project 89, which Bonk Guy has been posting about a bit. Chaos, which I don't even really have my head wrapped around what Chaos is. Ava's from the Hologram Labs team. It's at 62, up nicely on the day. Memes AI, which is tied in to some of the AI16Z and Goat broader AI eco. And then some of the new joiners. And Logan, like, I know you've been tracking this Graphane token. We were both early. I sold my bag right before this huge rip. But what's been happening with Graphane? Like, how has this one just done a 5x in the last week?
Yeah, so this one popped on my radar based on one of the hackathons that were not hosted by Solana, but by one of the corresponding or tangentially related organizations. And more or less, you can sort of chat with an agent and have it do things for you on chain, or at least that was the promise very, very early. I think one of the reasons we got in and out, Tyler, was it seemed like that promise wasn't actualized. You couldn't.
Oh, it didn't work. That's right. That's why it was all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, but based on this price action and continued development, it seems those things are starting to work. I was messing around with it this morning. There's like an early access pass to get access to agents that have been developed. There's like a Warhol agent where you can tell the thing to make a painting and or an image and then mint it on chain. There's other ones that can create meme coins for you, trade meme coins for you, etc. So it's like kind of half launchpad, half agent, like an agent on its own. And that Graphane token, I believe, was somebody was using the bot and had it create a token. It was like kind of like the first one that it helped to create in some way. So yeah, I think I was in and out around like 3 or 4 million or something like that, which feels like months ago at this time, but it's just been a steady grind up. It's one of those that I think warrants mentioning, at least alongside, all these, so many of them, as Mando's mentioning, so many of them, just to, keep your eye on.
Yeah,
there's gonna be room for growth upwards for some of these that continue to kind of push the envelope.
So I've already got 40 AI tokens on this watch list.
Wow.
It feels like what I've seen in the past few days is there's been a lot of opportunity for tokens, which were kind of sitting in the 5 to 10 million range, to level up to 15 to 25. There's been a whole lot of what I'll call easy 2Xs on the board. I don't know where we go from here. My gut is we're going to see a few of these in the 10 to 20, probably move up to the 50 range. And then you're going to see a couple do the bully run and run up to 150. I'm trying to predict which ones those are. And I think this is a very interesting group of tokens. I'm sure there's some that aren't even on my list to spend some time on. Because again, it feels like one where you can actually do a little bit of research. And it's not just like trying to pick the hot TikTok meme of the day and hope that the holders aren't just going to all dump on you in the next couple hours. They've got their tokens you can generally go to sleep with a bit, which is nice. Something that appeals to me because it's not that fun to have to watch your charts all night. Another interesting one that jumped out to me was in the DeSci sector yesterday. And Logan, I'm not sure if you saw this one. I think just for quick context, I think DeSci went nuts this past weekend with Pump.Science and its two leading tokens, RIF and Euro, soaring. It since has cooled off quite a bit. RIF Ampersand hit like 220 at peak. It's back down to 83, so full 70% retrace. Similar with Euro. Now this new token launched yesterday. It's called Tracked Bio. It's at 7.5 million, so still slightly under 10. I think what's interesting about this one to me is it is a potential infrastructure play on Pump.Science. So Pump Science is the platform that allows those longevity testing experiments to run. It allows people to launch their own tokens on them and effectively crowdsource the research. This past weekend when Pump.Science caught fire and was all over the timeline, the only real ways to bet on it was betting on those two specific chemicals like RIF and Euro, which didn't really make sense to me because that's not necessarily the right way to think about betting on a platform. Now there might be a way to do that. And perhaps I'm thinking about it wrong, but this Tracked Biotech effectively is some of the infrastructure that supports Pump.Science and the streaming of these experiments. So this just launched. I think it has been endorsed by the team. So I think this is going to be an interesting one to follow. Did you dig into this at all, Logie?
Not in depth. I saw you mention it yesterday. I think that's spot on and an interesting way to be able to go to sleep with your token. This is the picks and shovels type play, right? Or closely related to that. Mando mentioned that when we've talked about Luna and virtuals from the very first conversation, that more interested in virtuals rather than needing to pick the influencer that comes from the protocol. There's going to be winners that come from Pump Science. There's going to be winners that come from virtuals, Vivaifu, wherever, right? But if you want to maybe play a more conservative route while still earning plenty of potential upside. Yeah, something like this makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, well, those are a few of the things that jumped out to me about the meme sector. I think the other one is over on runes. So we saw, let me pull up the tweet. So Magic Eden did launch rune swaps yesterday. Now you can input an amount of Bitcoin and you can directly purchase that amount of runes or vice versa. So if you have 100 pups tokens you want to sell, you can get an instant quote for Bitcoin.
Sorry, not vice versa yet. You can't go to runes to BTC just yet. That's the gradually rolling out.
This was so confusing me, but they offer you quotes though. So I guess that's why I thought it was live. So you can still get a quote, but I didn't try to execute it. So maybe they're not executable quotes. So I guess, okay, that part is still coming, but I have executed the Bitcoin to rune swap. It is nice. It's better than just kind of like the NFT buying experience, which runes was prior. I don't think this on its own is a huge impact factor just yet. I think rune to rune swap, it's more interesting, but then someone in my reply said Saturn is rolling out AMM pools, perhaps in the near future. I think that's where this starts to get more interesting, is if we get some actual liquidity pools tied to these runes. So
did volume improve at all?
I'm sorry?
Did volume improve at all?
Dog clearly leading the way, 30 Bitcoin volume, but I mean, look at the rest of this. Abysmal. Pups was second, 400K volume yesterday. I think my gut read on the swaps is it's going to make it, well, I guess it's not enabled yet, but when it is enabled, it's going to make it easier to sell runes. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do see a pullback in the short term. But perhaps the broader market will be strong enough. You know, we'll certainly see, not a huge surprise to see a pullback with Bitcoin making a run. And, you know, some of these runes having moved up a few multiples over the last week. But what's your read, Logan? Do you think we're going to see a pullback with swaps or the opposite?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, it's been a frustrating experience, I think, for everybody on both the buy and the sell side. So when you're making, in particular, you're making the sell side potentially easier to start. That definitely makes sense. Plus, I mean, we had some questions about whether or not this ecosystem would thrive or sort of dwindle as Bitcoin rocketed up. And, you know, Bitcoin has been steadily moving up for 2 full weeks now, like almost $30,000 gain just in a single coin. So, I'm still want to be paying attention to this spot for sure. I don't have a whole lot of love for the board as is. I like pups. I like $1 Billion Cat. Full disclosure: own pups, own RSIC, and a small bag of Memento Mori. That's all I have here. I still want to be paying attention, but nothing's compelling me to like rush over there and make a purchase. And maybe that's the signal that like I probably should, right? Because the attention is not there right now. But I want to pay attention, not really doing anything. I'm kind of sitting on my hands as is.
It seems like a good time for people with long-term mindsets to perhaps start looking over there and gradually descending in. But I mean, for anyone who's day trading, like Solana is seeing 100 times the volume. So it's kind of hard to compare right now. We'll see if and when that changes. My gut read is it's not really gonna. We'll see more action here, perhaps when the Solana casino cools down a bit. The other topic we hit on yesterday, we predicted where would this XCopy icons meant with art blocks come out right at 2 ETH. So congrats to anyone who got a mint on this one. Just basically a free 2 ETH from the mint price. So a very solid return. We will see how this one continues to age. With that, I think we hit all of my topics. Sims, I know we've got Rollbit spins here, which I know a lot of our listeners have been patiently waiting for. So if you're ready, we can try to get these pulled up. Looks like we might be waiting a minute for Bernie here.
Yep, we'll get them. Let me pull these up on our side. 1 second. We can at least do the draw while waiting on Bernie. And all right, so we've got 2 winners this time. We'll do a refresh.
All right, who's going to win?
Let's have a look. 2 winners. Let's go.
Bomb skunk.
Bomb Skunk. See him in the replies quite a lot on FOMO. We know that's a definitive user. Bomb Skunk, hit the request, please. Straight away, there we go. Instant bang. Instant. Right, let's get our second person. So Bomb Skunk up first. And the next person is Leo.
Rekt guy. On Rekt Coin Day. How fitting.
Leo, hit the request.
Good day to be Leo. He has requested. We'll get him up here. I guess Bomb Skunk, you're up first. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing fucking great, man. Hell yeah. On Rekt Coin Day too and everything.
Awesome. Yeah, it is a big day. Love to have you up here. Do we have Pleo? Pleo, if you're with us, you won. How you feeling?
Feeling great, man. What a day.
What a day for all the Rekt guys out there. All right. Well, if we're ready, we've got the loot box loaded, Bernie, or we've got the folks helping us behind the scenes here. Whenever we're ready, Bomb Skunk, you're up first.
Let's go. Punk.
Oh, it's locked it because he's probably changed computer, I think.
Are we having some technical difficulties?
I'll just give him a minute really quickly. I know Bernie's had to change PC, so probably it.
Hold tight. Regardless, you two are going to get your spins, whether it's today or if we have to redo them on Monday. So don't worry.
Give us 1 second to figure it out, and then if not, we can give it a second. If not, we can call it anyway, but it's not a problem because everyone's saved and the rules will be saved. Nope,
Yeah,
looks like he's got it.
Nice.
We will try again.
All right, here we go. Bomb Skunk.
Let's go.
All right, that's the Rekt guy. Nice one.
Nice.
Here.
All right.
On our Rekt Coin debut day. So you got a nice, shiny new Rekt guy.
Fantastic.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Pleo, you're up. We're going to do our second spin. Here we go.
Double Rekt guy.
Another Rekt guy fitting for today. Our Rekt Coin debut show. Pleo, you've got another Rekt guy to add to your collection. Congrats.
Thank you guys very much.
Awesome. Well, you love to see it. Double spins. We will be back next week with our normal, as usual, 1 spin per day. Folks, what a week it was. I feel like it could be an explosive weekend. We will certainly see. Thank you all for joining us here this week. We will be back on Monday. Until then, go make it a beautiful day. Goodbye.